SONGOSHUAKU'S here, and welcome to my review for NXT Takeover Phoenix 2019. But first, make sure to hit that subscribe button followed by hitting the notification bell so that way you are notified as soon as my content is released. You know, I just say it every single time with these NXT Takeover shows. It's become a broken record, but hey, what can I say? It's tremendous, you know. These things always tend to knock it out of the park, and most likely will be an overall, from top to bottom, better show than the Royal Rumble is tomorrow. But let's talk about the awesomeness of this show, starting with the first match. The NXT Tag Team Championship match, featuring the challengers Rowe and Hanson, the War Raiders, versus the Undisputed Era's Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong. This tag team match is a great example for anyone who's been following the reports online. Rumor has it that the Revival are very unhappy with the Raw tag team division, and most fans online have been, showing their complaints. And when you take a look at this match, and you look at how the championships are presented, you look how the tag team division in NXT is presented, and you look at how this match was presented, how all the teams are given the time to show their talents, it's no wonder why, when you look at what they've done with the Raw's tag team division, and you look at what they're doing with NXT, no wonder why. This is what we are missing out on Raw. But nonetheless, let's stay focused here on the match. This match was definitely incredible. You had a lot of great offense, back and forth action. Hanson was really, I would say, sort of stealing the show with these cartwheels. He does one cartwheel to avoid one of the, I think, was it Kyle O'Reilly? I forget which one, was going for a clothesline. He avoids that, and I think there's a point where Kyle and Roderick Strong, I could be wrong, someone in the comment section correct me if I am wrong, but there's a point where they go for their finisher, the high-low, and I believe he does a cartwheel out of that and turns into a back spring, double elbow. Hanson was all over the place. You were seeing a lot of great stuff. The fans were giving it a "This is awesome" chant, really loud "This is awesome" chant. And you had Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly were doing a lot of great heel psychology and just working really good on there. You had a lot of explosive, powerful moves all throughout. Just really good stuff. So much action to basically try and keep here. If I had one complaint about the match, it's minor. It's not a big one, but I wish they would have on commentary would have sold a little bit more the amount of strength it would take for Roderick Strong to throw these big guys around like the way he was. Like, the only one time I think they really emphasized it was when he did a superplex, I should say, to I believe it was Hanson off the top of the rope. But other than that, like I said, it's minor. It was really cool. I just wish they would have put more emphasis, like the power, that it takes for him to raise this big guy up in Raw. I think he was slamming around a lot. But yeah, it was really good. I remember the ending. They kicked out of the high-low finisher from Undisputed Era. That was, I believe, Hanson who kicked out of it. And that they mentioned on commentary that was the first time that's ever been done. And at the end, they came back. Rowe did a really cool where he picks up Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong and does like a double forward slam / power bomb on them both at the same time. And I love the way Kyle O'Reilly was selling. Even the commentators, they were saying his body was pretty much dead weight, and I really love that he sold it. I like that attention to detail. And then from there, that's when they did their finishing move. I forget what it's called, where Rowe picked him up on his back, and Hanson comes off the top rope with the leg drop, and man, it looked devastating, like it crashed him. Oh man. And then he gets the 1, 2, 3. So the War Raiders are your new NXT Tag Team Champions. I can't say enough good things about this match. Go out of your way, especially if you're sick and tired of the way the tag team division is being treated on Monday Night Raw, and you want to see a WWE produced show with some great tag team action. on Monday, other than on SmackDown, because, they do it a little better on SmackDown. They just keep giving us the same ones there. But, yeah, go out of your way. Definitely watch this match. And now let's move on to the next match, which is what I hope will be the final match in this one-sided trilogy between Cassius Ohno and Matt Riddle. So I don't keep up with the weekly TV showings of NXT on the network. I just pretty much go from takeover to takeover. I just don't have time, honestly. But so I can't really say whether this match was better than their second match. But having seen their first match, which was just basically a boom knockout, I can definitely say this is better than that. I mean, it was actually a match. But yeah, this was basically a lot of good psychology in this match. And it did a nice little thing. So, it wasn't the most flashiest match, but it had some nice touches to it. This was basically your typical heel works over the babyface, and babyface comes back with a fiery comeback. So yeah, some of the nice things that I liked in this match was there's a part where Matt Riddle goes for a sunset flip over the top rope, and he's trying to get the power bomb. The part where you pull your opponent down, and Cassius Ohno takes the ring apron and wraps it over Matt Riddle's face, and then just stumps on it. There's even a part where I think Matt Riddle went for a kick or something like that, and he grabs him by the foot because he's bare feet, and basically, he was going for a German suplex, and he stepped on Matt Riddle's foot, and literally, great call. I think it was Mauro Ranallo who said he's basically stomping on the toe and moving his foot around on it as if he's putting out a cigarette. There's even one part where he bites Matt Riddle's toenail, and Mauro on commentary was talking about how Pete Dunne likes to do the things with the fingers. And he says apparently Cassius has a thing for toenails or something like that, or toes. But yeah, they really worked on it. There was a nasty stiff shot that Ohno gave to. They played it in slow motion where he kicked Matt Riddle right in the mouth, and the way his head just went over under on the bottom rope, it looked like it could have snapped his neck or something. Like, it looked brutal. Definitely a brutal shot. And you even saw Matt Riddle was bleeding. You got some really great strength moments from Matt Riddle where he deadlift Cassius Ohno, and not once but twice. One just literally from when he was on his stomach, from when Ohno was on his stomach, and another part where he did a German suplex, and they really emphasize it here in the commentary. Unlike in the previous match that I was talking about, you could tell this is all Matt Riddle's strength here. Cassius Ohno definitely wasn't helping him out or anything like that. But yeah, other than that, mostly Cassius Ohno got a lot of offense in this match and really worked over Matt Riddle. And then in the end, he eventually, he did get the bro submission in, but Cassius Ohno rolled over to the ring and he utilized all the 4 seconds count. But in the end, what I actually like too is that Cassius Ohno ended up just hammering Ohno down with these elbows to the neck, and you see Cassius Ohno starts tapping out, but the referee doesn't see it, and eventually he rolls over to his front, gives his back up, and Cassius Ohno just starts hammering, ground and pounding him with his forearm shots, and he's tapping out, and the referee calls it. So I guess it's like a TKO finish, which I don't know, at least from one of the matches I've seen in WWE, and I've been watching WWE since like 1994, and pretty much, and I don't remember someone tapping out due to strike, so that was pretty cool. Like I said, it wasn't the fanciest match, but it was a lot of nice little touches. So I enjoyed it that they put into this match. I think there was even a shot where they had the camera on Cassius Ohno, and he's still tapping out even though he's out of the submission. So it was really cool, and I'm really hoping big things are in store for Matt Riddle. So now let's move on to the next match, and that is the NXT North American Championship match. The champion Ricochet defending the title against Johnny Gargano. Once again, as someone who doesn't watch NXT from week to week, I thought the video package did a tremendous job of definitely catching up, which is really what I think is really good for those who just watch the Takeover shows. It's cool to see that they were teasing something between Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, possibly reuniting as a heel DIY now. But yeah, it was really cool. But this match, whoo, incredible. Both these guys started off with some great chain wrestling and athleticism of just like flips and all that type of stuff, back and forth, just trying to outdo one another. It was incredible, and eventually it slowed down to just basically just going back and forth with wrestling, and it would pick back up again with some high flying action. Just so much stuff to try and remember right here all the time on my mind. I'm gonna try my best to remember some of the epic highlights of this match. So I might be a little out of order here, but there was one part where I think Johnny Gargano went in for like a diving spear or something on Ricochet, and Ricochet basically got out the way and quickly face planted him. We saw Ricochet break out the Gargano escape on Johnny Gargano, and we saw a really cool epic spot where they're on the top rope, and it looked like Ricochet was gonna go, or I mean Johnny Gargano was gonna go for a hurricane, hurricane. Whoa, no, I'm thinking of the hurricane. Stand back! There's a hurricane coming through. No, the hurricane Rana. Yeah, he's going to go for the Hurricane Rana, and what ends up happening is Ricochet ends up catching him, and you're like, okay, is he going to turn into a power bomb or something? And so what ends up happening is he stops that, so Gargano manages to eventually get the Hurricane Rana off the top of the rope. However, when they land, Ricochet does a flip and lands right on his feet, and Johnny Gargano, the way he sells it, it's incredible. There were so many near falls in the match towards the end. There was one part I thought he had him where was what was it? Johnny Gargano. I forget what move he did, but it was just, there was a particular moment where I thought he may have had it. It might have been a DDT or something, and Ricochet kicked out, and I was invested. I was like, oh man, sorry if I got the move wrong. Ricochet broke out the 450 splash, the Phoenix splash. He broke out the reverse 450 splash, but Gargano managed to get the knees up. There was another really cool part too in the match where Ricochet is going to go off the top rope. So Gargano ends up rolling to the other side of the ring, and he gets out in the ring. Now, of course, remembering that, hey, this guy Ricochet can fly all over, because we've seen that before. You know, wrestlers would go to the outside of the turnbuckle thinking they're safe, and so Johnny Gargano gets off the turnbuckle right when Ricochet was about to go ahead and do something, and Ricochet just gives this little like, it's okay, I got this. So he runs and completely flips over the turnbuckle right onto Johnny Gargano. Oh man, what was some of the other highlights of this match? There was a cool spot where oh yeah, a real painful looking spot where I don't know if it was a backdrop or something. I'm trying to remember what it was, but anyway, either way, Ricochet ends up dropping Johnny Gargano over the top rope, and it looks like Johnny Gargano goes ribs first into the side of the apron. It looked painful, and he goes out and does a complete flip around, and reverses in midair and hits Johnny Gargano. Just so much really good action. Like I said, there's so much to keep track with. It definitely go out of your way to watch the match. But the closing moments of this match, Johnny Gargano ends up pulling the what was it? The mat outside the ring. So it's a callback to the matches he had with Tommaso Ciampa last year. So he's basically debating on to deliver a DDT to Ricochet, but he doesn't. And I thought this was going to be because he decided not to go and do it because of a disqualification. Yeah, there was like a lot of some of the psychology of the match was, would Johnny Gargano, you know, be his old self, or was he going to stay to this more new vicious side? There was even a part where Ricochet tries to give him a handshake early in the match, and Johnny Gargano basically pulls him in and just he uses his hand to get up, and then bam, starts elbowing him right into the face. Now let's see what else happens after here. So after here, eventually when there's a near fall that Johnny Gargano Gargano from Ricochet kicking out, Johnny Gargano basically can't help himself, and so he throws Ricochet out of the ring and delivers a brain buster. It looked really sick, you know. These guys taking right onto the concrete, you know. Yikes! Much respect for these guys taking a shot like that. Like, eesh, that had to be painful. Right to the concrete, and from here he throws Ricochet back in, and he goes ahead and lets him know, I win. And this is where he jumps over the ropes and delivers a devastating DDT to Ricochet. And at this point, I wasn't sure. I'm like, is this going to keep going on? And you have even Mauro Ranallo saying that's it on commentary. And it's 1, 2, 3. And it is. It's the finish of the match. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Johnny Gargano wins. I did a predictions with the No DQ group. Shout out to NoDQ.com and all the wonderful folks over there. Did in a predictions, I had Johnny Gargano picked as who I was thinking going to win this match. So I'm cool to see Johnny Gargano finally get his moment, finally get a championship in NXT. And much respect to both these guys. Put on a tremendous performance, definitely to this point in the show, match of the night. And the only thing left is, would our next 2 matches be able to follow it? So this is a great way to lead right into our next match, which is for the NXT Women's Championship, and that is Shayna Baszler defending the title against Bianca Belair. Now, while this match wasn't able to follow the previous match, I do think it was a pretty good match in terms of developing the character of Bianca Belair. So one of the nice things I really like too, once again, another great video package. It's just this kind of, sort of, to me at least, had a big fight feel. You've got Shayna Baszler, who's been on this dominant role as NXT champion, 2-time NXT champion. You've got Bianca Belair, who just has this really cool charisma about her in terms of the way she carries herself, and it's just like, oh wow, you know, you got these 2 bad chicks going face to face. What's gonna happen when they get in that ring? And so that was really cool. And I thought they had some really good back and forths as well, with Belair going undefeated, and Shayna going overrated. So, yeah, well, some good stuff here. So this match basically, it really came down to, a lot of this was Shayna Baszler, and the big difference maker was early on in the match when Bianca Belair, who has this insane long ponytail, it basically ended up working against her in this case, as when she was on the opposite side of the pole to Shayna Baszler grabbed her by the ponytail and just pulled her right into the turnbuckle, and she went shoulder first. And definitely real great props to Belair and her performance, who really sold the shoulder all through the match. So that was really nice attention to detail, I thought. And yeah, majority of the match was worked over the shoulder, the arms. You know, Shayna did that one thing where she contorts the opponent's arm, and she holds it down with her foot, and then she lets go and stumps her. You know, it visually looks cool, but the only thing about that move that I always notice is the second Shayna lifts her hand, you could easily move your arm, but the rest starts to keep it there and everything. But it is what it is. It does visually look good, though. And then from there, mostly in the match, like I said, it was pretty much all Baszler. Then eventually there's the referee bump, and this causes, actually Belair does hit her finisher, the KOD, on Baszler, but this causes Jasmine Duke and Marina Shafir, the other members of the Horsewomen, to come out, who's basically been Shayna Baszler's backup, and eventually they're attacking them, but Bianca Belair is eventually able to fight them off and even knock them both down. And she does even a 450 splash, but eventually ends up getting caught in Baszler's Kukita clutch, if I said that right. And she does a really cool, impressive spot, because one of the biggest things about Bianca Belair is her strength. She's able to get back up on her feet with Baszler on her back, and the crowd crowd comes to a huge ovation, gives her a huge ovation, and it works the first time, but the second time she ends up getting caught in the Coquina clutch. She does one more where she does one more where she's able to get back to her feet, but then she ends up falling down and passes out. And Shayna Baszler walks away with still the NXT Women's Champion. Like I said, definitely not as good as the Ricochet and Johnny Gargano fight, but I think still fairly solid match in terms of developing the character of Bianca Belair, because after being undefeated, we've seen that the way she is during adversity in a match, and you're seeing how well it shows the character is able to is basically tough and doesn't go out. And that's one of the nice things I noticed too about the submission wins in NXT. They give the wrestlers a long time, a long time, especially when they're building someone. If they're gonna lose, they give them a long time to try and fight out of the submission until eventually they end up passing out. And it's one of those things that I'm always like, I always appreciate in NXT, because it takes the wrestler and it still protects them in a way. Like, yes, they lose clean, but it took a lot to beat them. Something, that was the opposite of last year at WrestleMania, when Charlotte puts the figure 4 leg lock on Asuka and she immediately taps out. And it's like, hold up. If you're going to go that direction and have someone who's been undefeated for over 2 years tap out, at least let them struggle in this for several minutes before the tap out, or do a move where they pass out from the pain. If it's one of those, if it's going to be a submission where it can put them make them unconscious. But that's a whole different thing. How much did we rant on Asuka last year? But stay focused on NXT. Like I said, fairly good match. And we now move on to the main event, the NXT Championship match. Aleister Black versus Tommaso Ciampa. All right, so there had been quite the build-up to this match going back to the summer. Of course, Aleister Black was attacked by Johnny Gargano, and that led to Ciampa being able to get Gargano one-on-one and eventually win that match. And we did see Black come back and beat Gargano, and now he's taking on Ciampa. So, I really did enjoy the storyline build-up here. And as far as the match goes, it was very, I guess you could call it old school wrestling match. Definitely more psychology and everything, and it worked out to you pretty well. It was a really good, solid main event. You had Aleister Black early on. He did a dive over the top rope, and it looked like he may have tweaked his knee, and this would come into play as the match goes on, as Tommaso Ciampa would throw Aleister Black into the steel steps, and then once again do a suplex into the steps again, both times working on the leg. And this would be the story of the match. He would constantly go back and work on Aleister Black's knee. There was even a cool spot where he had Aleister's leg all tangled up and distorted, and the rope looked pretty painful. Of course, the guy's obviously flexible, but yeah, it would definitely visually looked great. Yeah, he was just working on the leg over. And this match was really cool, because sometimes when you have those matches where they're just working on the leg all through the match and using that methodical style, sometimes it can't be all that visually pleasing, right? But this here, it worked. Tommaso Ciampa, I don't know why I was thinking Johnny Gargano, but Tommaso Ciampa did a tremendous job playing as a heel, working her up. He even got on the announce table one time and did Aleister Black's sit down pose. There was another cool spot too where he did, when Aleister Black did his sit down pose, that boom, Tommaso was able to catch him right in the face with a kick and stuff like that. So, catching him totally off guard. However, Aleister Black kept fighting through in the match, and he eventually was able to get the fade to black on Ciampa, and just nice little details that I like about this match is that he expended so much energy at this point that he only had enough energy to just take the arm and cover over Tommaso Ciampa. But there's one problem. Ciampa, using what little energy he had left, rolled to his stomach so that way he could save himself from getting pinned, because Aleister didn't have enough energy to basically roll him back over, and you could see it on his face. So really nice details like that I really did enjoy about this match. And then as you get towards the end, Tommaso Ciampa, he does the fairy tale ending, and Black kicks out, and he does it again and keeps kicking out, and you're like, oh wow, what's gonna happen here? There was even one point where Ciampa tries to get rid of the he pulls back the mat on outside and exposes the concrete, and you even hear the crowd erupt into a DIY chant. From there, Gargano, not Gargano, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, I've constantly mentioned Gargano. We'll get to that in a little bit. Ciampa ends up hitting the tries to go for a low blow when he's able to get the referee, to get a bump and everything, but Aleister Black catches it, and there's a point where Aleister Black goes for the fade to black again, but he just couldn't muster up the strength on one bad knee, and Ciampa is able to take advantage of it, and he goes ahead and does the fairy tale ending again, and before pinning him, picks him up and does it a fourth time, and finally puts Aleister away with the 1, 2, 3 to retain his NXT championship. I definitely think probably for me the second best match on the night, right next to the Gargano and Ricochet match. So yeah, this is a pretty cool match, definitely. Actually, that tag team match was pretty good, so I don't know, I guess I can't decide exactly. I did really like this match though. Storytelling, yeah, from a storytelling standpoint, I did like this match. Second best match of the night. So what happens after the match is, as Ciampa is celebrating with the championship, or Goldie as he calls it, Gargano walks out with his NXT North American Championship. So I'm like, oh, they're teasing round 4 between these two, and he's looking at it, and then he holds his title up. So for one moment, it looked like maybe are they teasing an alliance here, a heel DIY? The crowd will start chanting into a DIY chant, or is it just more that, oh no, Gargano hasn't forgotten, and maybe they're going to have a champion versus champion? So definitely interested to see where things go from here. But overall, NXT Phoenix, tremendous show. Always, these NXT takeovers never disappoint, so definitely much respect in terms of putting this show together to Triple H and the crew behind the scenes that helps him put these together, and the talent for a tremendous amount of athletic and storytelling display that I felt we got here tonight. So with that said in mind, I will be back for a review for the Royal Rumble, which I don't think is going to be as good as this show from top to bottom. But that being said, guys, here are my plugs. So, if you obviously are a fan of WWE or professional wrestling, we'll be doing more audio reviews like this for big events that you can listen to as you go about your everyday life. Also, if you're a fan of Dragon Ball, shonen manga, or anime adapted from shonen manga, make sure to check out my upcoming short film, Battle of Deception, as it's based on those types of genres. I currently have lots of videos such as the teaser trailer and the behind-the-scene interview videos right here on my channel, so make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified as soon as I release more content regarding Battle of Deception, Dragon Ball, and even WWE. And make sure to like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter and Instagram, both at SONGOSHUAKU. All links will be in the description below. Take care!